Horrific news on the border, as well as a horrific Secretary of Homeland Security giving an interview on 60 Minutes, and a horrific president telling horrific lies about Republicans and the border. All of this leads to one guest, Mark Krikorian, president of the Center for Immigration Studies. Let's start with the president here, Mark. Did I hear him right last week saying that Republicans are trying to defund the border operation and that he is throwing Border Patrol agents under the bus, or excuse me, Republicans are throwing Border Patrol agents under the bus? I don't think that sounds accurate.
Yeah, I think the psychiatrists call that projection. The fact is, I was on the border last week and talked to Border Patrol agents, not just guys in the field, but even some higher up people. And yeah, they do not think that this administration has their back by any means. That's an understatement. It's, this administration, starting with the whipping lies, from back when was that, last year or the year before? I'm losing track
over
now.
A year ago that was, yeah.
Right. But I mean, that's just the most obvious thing. This administration has asked for less funding to detain illegal aliens. They have essentially turned the Border Patrol. They've forced the Border Patrol to become like Walmart greeters, the welcome wagon at the border, so that the smugglers will deliver a busload of illegals on the other side. They'll walk over here, turn themselves in, be put on the Border Patrol bus, and within a few hours or maybe a day or two, let go. That's not what these guys signed up for.
Well, and if any Republican is balking at this ridiculous Biden budget that was proposed that included some more funding at the border, it's because they actually want the Border Patrol to do their job instead of, as you say, just acting as people who process asylum seekers and just hand people back into the country. Yeah, you need more people on the border to do that because you're being overwhelmed by hundreds of thousands a month.
Right, exactly. I mean, giving more money to the Border Patrol and ICE under current policies is just speeding up the entry of illegal immigrants into the United States.
Yeah.
This administration doesn't think the flow of illegals is a problem. They think the problem is that it's disorderly and it's showing up in the news, and they want it to be smooth and get out of the news pictures. That's what they see as the problem, and that's their solution.
Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas had a pretty tough time on Capitol Hill last week. He did not equip himself well, I don't think, Mark, in some pretty aggressive questioning from Republicans. So he had to do damage control. He went on 60 Minutes, but even there, I got to hand it. This one reporter just kept asking him, is this a crisis? Is it a border crisis? He refused to use that word. The reporter even said, why can't you just call it what it is, a crisis? He's in trouble, isn't he, Mark?
Oh, he's definitely in trouble. I was glad to see some journalism breaking out on the legacy media. But, he's invited this, really. If they had just said from the beginning, yes, this is a crisis and, we're doing what we can to handle it, whatever it is, it would not be this kind of issue. But at this point, if he calls it a crisis, he's stonewalled for 2 years. What's he going to do? So he's in a difficult situation, and he is very likely to be impeached in the House because there's already one Democrat who said that he will impeach him, will vote for impeachment when it gets to that. There may be some others who will vote. Now, when it gets to the Senate, he won't be removed because you need a 2/3 majority, but there will be a trial. There will be more publicity and more opportunities for him to put his foot in his mouth, as he seems to every time he appears before a camera.
Yeah. I have a hunch that if that impeachment goes forward, he's going to be that ubiquitous term used when administrations have to move somebody aside, a distraction. I've become a distraction. I want to spend more time with my children, that kind of thing.
Entirely possible. But I got to say, I think they're going to dig their heels in and not want him to resign under fire. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's what I suspect. They're going to try to tough it out.
Let's turn to this odd story on our northern border near Quebec. There were dead bodies found, 6 people found dead in a marsh right near the U.S. border. It sort of rings home that, first of all, we do have 2 giant unprotected borders in this country, land borders. And there's a reason why Border Patrol falls under Homeland Security, because our secure borders is, in fact, a national security issue, isn't it?
Yeah, no question. I mean, first of all, it's a long border. It's longer with Canada, obviously, twice as long as the one with Mexico, if you count Alaska. But and it's Canada's a country that cooperates with us. It doesn't border on anybody else, so it doesn't have the kind of illegal immigration problem Mexico does. But
Right.
when you create the incentives we've created to come across our border, people who can get into Canada, Mexicans can fly there without visas.
Right.
And there's all kinds of people from elsewhere in the world. They're going to do that. And frankly, in the winter, it's still winter up there. People don't realize how problematic it can be. Some people died last year out in the Great Plains crossing from Alberta or Manitoba. And the number of crossings has increased hugely now from a lower level, but it's like 700-800% increase. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to pay attention to both borders, or we're going to have to change the policy inside the country that is luring people to come across our borders illegally.
Well, and just to be clear here, and you bring this home all the time, Mark Krikorian, when you say change policy, it's not changing laws. The laws are already there. The policy would be to, in fact, be serious about enforcing the existing laws.
Absolutely. ICE has reduced the number of people it deports dramatically. We're not even deporting criminals as much as we used to under prior administration, let alone just regular illegal aliens. So yes, the laws are there. Sure, there are things I think we should change, but how about we just start enforcing the law instead of this administration's policy of literally ignoring the law?
There was also a statement made last week by Congressman David Trone out of Maryland, focusing on the fentanyl issue, where he's saying everyone's talking about the border and fentanyl, but the fact is 90% of the fentanyl entering this country enters through regular means of entrance, through the checkpoints and what have you, or at the airports. He's not wrong about that, but is it a completely genuine argument that he's making there?
Not really, because it's true 90% of the apprehensions, in other words, the drugs that are caught at the legal crossing points. Ports of entry is the technical term for them.
Right.
But that's partly because there's much more scrutiny there. The fact is, we have no idea how much drugs and other things, and in fact, criminals or terrorists are coming across between ports of entry, because the Border Patrol, like I said, has been turned into a welcome wagon, so they're less able to patrol the border and actually stop things like fentanyl or terrorists or what have you. So yes, a lot of fentanyl comes through the legal crossing points, no question about it. But we have no idea how much is coming across between ports of entry, precisely because the Border Patrol is unable to do its job while it's doing diaper duty and making Walmart runs for the illegal immigrants who've turned themselves in.
Back to Secretary Mayorkas here, Mark Krikorian. I'm sure you saw the very dramatic questioning of Senator Ted Cruz and Secretary Mayorkas, and it didn't go well for Secretary Mayorkas. What struck me in all of that is that Dick Durbin is the chairman of that committee, and Durbin, he'll use the gavel if he has to save his witness, to throw a lifeline out there. We've seen him do it before. He reprimands his fellow senators. He'll basically run interference for a witness if he has to. He didn't. He was tepid. He let Cruz at it, and just at the end, he just said, well, I'll let you have a last word here, Secretary Mayorkas. Does that indicate to you what I think it indicated to me, that he doesn't have a whole lot of allies, Mayorkas does, even amongst the Democrats?
Absolutely did. Now, they're not going to vote to remove him from office in the Senate, but Durbin was sending a very clear message to the White House that this guy needs to spend more time with his family. They realize what a liability he is. Yeah. And he's also just terrible on, in these kind of events. In other words, he's not even smooth in handling himself, so yeah, I think that was pretty clearly a way of Durbin telling the White House, this guy has got to go, without him actually saying that, which he won't want to do because, they're on the same team.
Well, and finally, we try to be pretty high-minded here and issue-oriented and fact-based and really get to the bottom of an issue, but we're also not above being gratuitous and insulting. This Mayorkas
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, right? You know me. There's always these rumors about conspiracy theories about lizard people from outer space. This Mayorkas guy, he's one of them, right? I mean, if you were gonna see a lizard person from an alien planet, it's Mayorkas.
I wish it were that easy, because then we could, have protections and prevent illegal immigration of aliens from other planets. But no, he's one of us. I'm afraid we're stuck with him.
Disappointing. Although, to be fair, if he were an alien, he'd be an undocumented alien. So, sanctuary. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.